citing a horror poem I wrote called The Changeling. Whilst ill and weary I lay upon my bed, a quilt on my lap and a pillow neath my head, a warm cup of tea rests by my side, and lie there still, while still ill, upon that bed I lied. And while I lay but had not slept, the shadows on the ceiling crept, all the while neath my bed it wait alone. With a deep tone the voice called out and said, "Sir, or madam, I do implore, 'tis quite cold upon your floor. The algid air blows and the flowers do wilt. The birds have retired, and so I inquire if I might have your tea and a quilt." With wide eyes and fear plastered upon my face, "'Tis probably the medicine," I thought, "that must be the case. But I shall entertain the voice that lie beneath my bed. But take great care and be prepared." I turned my head and said, "I know I should, I wish I could," I said, "but I truly think, if I should give you all my tea, I'll have nothing left to drink." And as I said it, I pondered. The voice did ponder too. "The tea's from Britain, and I've been told it could cure my simple cold. I'd give you if I had more. I'm sorry, but it's true." "Well then," said the voice, "I feel it might be right to relinquish half your tea, if you wish to be polite." "That's true," I said, not being rude, "and I may try to get more." I downed half the cup and sat up and set the tea upon the floor. I had laid back down when my ears had heard the sound of gentle sipping had occurred. "Sir, or madam," said the voice, "that tea was in fact quite nice. I'd repay you with a tale, but to no avail, for I am still as cold as ice." "A story?" I said. "What sort of tale do you intend to regale? A tale of knights or kings or queens, of elves and tailors, or ships and sailors, or of tradesmen and magic beans?" "A story of old," the voice would say. "A tale I've never told, but I'd gladly rapture you with it if I weren't so cold." I thought for a moment about this, as neither of us made a sound. "Very well," I said quite firmly, "please tell your tale," as I threw my quilt upon the ground. The quilt draped beneath my bed and vanished from my sight. Though I was cold, I much more cared if my guest was all right. "Sir, or madam," said the voice, "this quilt is quite warm, though it's torn its laces in several places. Attempts in patchwork is an art form." "Thank you," I told the voice, "but I must get to bed. So tell your tale," I told him. That's when the voice had said, "Sir, or madam, I must say, the night is still quite young, so if you'd be so kind as to lend me your mind and hear each word upon my tongue." The tale begins one brisk autumn evening. The crowds were alive with their lanterns all gleaming. I, however, was not a fan of crowds, so there I stood at the edge of the woods, watching the crowds become loud. When from the crowd a lady fair had caught my eye and returned my stare. She moved towards me at a quickening pace, her eyes opened wide, a tremble in her stride, then she met me face to face. What happened next, I had cried, as the midnight moonlight shone where I lied. "Well, sir, madam," the voice had glowed. I held her up high and looked her in the eye and dragged my claws across her throat. And as she lay bleeding upon the ground, she coughed up blood and begged for air and made a truly awful sound. So I reached my claw towards her, felt her skin so warm. With bits of dirt and mud I absorbed her blood, and slowly I stole her form. I sat there stunned in silence, frozen cold in time. "Sir, madam," she told me, something that will never leave my mind. She sputtered for a moment and slowly turned her head. She looked me in the eyes and said to her demise, "You were the voice beneath my bed." I sat up with a gasp of air and slowly turned my head, and I saw the thin gray claw reach out from beneath my bed. I watched as my gust drew its arms several meters out across the room, and I resumed to let out my silent shout. Its claws dug into the floor as a second arm arose. It grabbed my leg, and I could feel beads of sweat run off my nose. Its body coiled like a snake and towered dire heights. Its skin like clay, a bland all gray, with eyes of bright white light. Its facial structure was human-like. Its nose and lips in place. Its eyes and ears all narrow rested pointedly upon its face. Its grip upon my leg tightened, cutting into the skin underneath. Its eyes gazed in and smiled a grin, revealing rows of jagged, sharp teeth. "Sir, or madam, I must say, I request one thing more. I need to feast to look young, that's what your blood is for. That you will die, I shall live, until I feast again. I'll live as you and do the things you do." That's when he cut my veins. In the morning, my mother stirred and knocked upon my door. I was lifeless, and I was stashed under the bed upon the floor. "It's time for breakfast," she had said as she threw the door open wide. I jumped from my bed. "I'll be right there," it said. The thing beneath my bed had lied.